Hi, welcome back to the Rugby Social. Things are getting exciting. We're in the second week of the Six Nations. Teams for the Twickenham Showdown this Saturday are out. Wales announced their team on Wednesday. England have announced their team earlier today. So in this video, we're going to take a look at those teams and maybe explore some questions. You know, did Borthwick see enough that he liked last week for England versus Italy? And how is Gats going to respond to what was a bit of a horror show for Wales in the first half and a bit of an epic return for them in the second half? So let's get into it. Let's take a look at England first. And incredibly, it's probably the first time that we've been able to say this for like over 4 years. England's team remains unchanged. So exactly the same lineup and replacements for this Saturday's game that played Italy last Saturday. And I guess in some ways I'm surprised and in other ways I'm not. I'm surprised because that is just such a rarity to have an unchanged team. But equally, you know, England are building new foundations. I thought the team went fairly well last Saturday. You could see some elements of things getting better. But yeah, on the whole, you know, obviously the result wasn't magnificent. So perhaps a little surprised not to see some changes in there. And I think the key area people thought there might be changes. Number one is with the props. You know, seeing Marler back in there and Stewart is, I guess, a small bit surprising. I would have liked to have seen Cole come in for Stewart. I think Cole would just offer a little bit more strength in that scrum and maybe look to see Stewart come on later in the second half when things have broken up a little bit more because, you know, he's got some good ball carrying skills. And then the other calls for potential changes were, you know, moving out Ford and putting Finn Russell in there. Now, personally, I would like to see that. You know, Ford did nothing wrong last weekend. He had a good game, but I just think, you know, Finn Smith is the future along with Marcus Smith. And I think let's give him some game time, particularly, you know, I'd say a nice, easy game. It's not an easy game. It's a very difficult game for England, but at least it's a home game against, I guess, a Welsh squad that's perhaps not at their pomp and prime at the moment. And then the other calls I was hearing for changes was Dingwall. Now, I personally thought Dingwall did pretty well in that first game of the Six Nations. Other people thought he was a bit anonymous, but I'm glad to see him get another go. You know, he is a proper number 12, playing number 12. So, yeah, I guess Borthwick must have been pretty happy with his lot. But, yeah, be interested to hear if you're happy with that lot as well. You know, drop us a comment. Let me know if you're pleased with that team selection from Borthwick. And, you know, while you're there, why not like and subscribe as well? But yeah, let's move on to the Welsh team. And I guess from a Wales point of view, the big banner headline is that Gats has made 7 changes. But when you start to explore that a little bit, it's perhaps not as radical as it first seems. So 3 of those changes were enforced. Yeah, there was injuries to Costello, Brown, and also Botham. So those 3 are out anyway. You've also got George North, who's fit again. And, you know, why wouldn't you want to bring back that sort of level of experience into what is otherwise a relatively inexperienced team? So 4 of those changes, you know, I think probably Gats could do nothing about. I think in terms of the changes that he has made, he's actually completely dropped Gareth Davies. He's not in the matchday squad at all. And that's probably fair enough. Didn't have a great first half, but then again, who in Wales did have a great first half? And Thomas Williams obviously sparked things in the second half, made a difference. So it makes sense that he's back in the side. And certainly looking forward to seeing how he gets on Saturday. So the places where we are seeing the tactical changes for Wales are in the front row. First of all, Domachowski is being dropped down to the bench. He's been replaced by Gareth Thomas. Now, I thought Domachowski had a really good game against Scotland. I'm not sure he deserves to be slipping down the pecking order there, but equally he played the full 80 minutes last week, and maybe he's just in need of a rest. Similarly, we've got D coming in for Elias Hooker. And again, I thought D had a great second half for Wales. He really started to influence things and started to kind of get some good go forward. So makes sense in terms of that change. And then the other change is an enforced one. Brown is injured, so Azarati is coming in to replace him. So that looks interesting. And then in the back row, obviously both of them went off injured, so Alex Mann is starting. And then probably the most interesting enforced change, and the one I guess I'm really looking forward to seeing how it pans out, is
Johan Lloyd starting at fly half on Saturday. Now, obviously, a lot of his club rugby, he's predominantly played fullback. I thought, did pretty well against Scotland in the second half. Started to really move things around. Kind of some of his runs were nice and gliding, and he was kind of causing confusion in the defence. Although, to be fair, I think the Scotland defence just generally looked confused in the second half. They looked really rattled, didn't know quite how to kind of compete with Wales in that second half, and got completely overrun by giving away platform, giving away ball. Johan Lloyd starting at 10 will be interesting. And, I think he'll step up. I think he'll do a job. I think he's got some real qualities there. And this is obviously the start of his career. So it'll be really interesting to see when Costello is back fit, which way will Gats go? So some interesting changes there from Wales. As I say, not perhaps quite as radical as it sounds when you say there's seven changes. And I think, if we see the Wales in the second half of the game against Scotland, it will be a good match. I mean, I think England being at home at Twickenham should be expecting to win that game against a fairly inexperienced Welsh squad. But who knows? I mean, who saw that comeback coming in the second half against Wales? Once they get on a roll, once they get some momentum, they can be a very, very dangerous side. So cannot wait for that game. Hope you're excited too. Really appreciate you watching. Again, leave a comment. Let me know how you think the game's going to go, who you think's going to win. And also, feel free to like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. It really helps us reach more rugby fans. So thanks very much. Catch you on the next one.